Hi everybody.
Hello everybody.
As you can see, we're all rugged up today because we're going through a cold patch at the moment. The nights are dropping down to 6 degrees and it's morning time and we're still feeling the cold, so we're all rugged up. Last week we talked about nutritional science, or our take on nutritional science, what we thought of it because of all the questions that we were getting about where do we get this and where do we get that. This week we're going to answer the question about 80-10-10 and what our view is on that philosophy or diet or way of eating.
Go for it.
Now I should make it clear before I go on. 80-10-10, for those who have never heard of it, is, I think it was Dr. Douglas Graham who coined the phrase, and his idea was that in terms of calories we need to eat 80% carbohydrates, 10% fat and 10% protein. Now that was the idea that he came up with, and I think it's been successful for some people, but we don't believe in counting calories. So we don't believe in looking at things and thinking, is there enough fat in there, is there enough protein in there, is there enough carbohydrates? We don't even know what those things are. We're being very, very honest with you. We don't know what a protein looks like. You could put a plate of them in front of me. I wouldn't know if it was a plate of carbohydrates, a plate of protein, or a plate of fat. Well, fat maybe I could tell because of the consistency. If you break it down to just bare minimum of carbohydrate, for me it means nothing. So we don't do that kind of thing. We don't count, we don't look into the science of food. So it's very much similar to what we were saying last week when we were talking about where do we get B12 and where do we get protein. Those kind of things that we answered last week is very similar to how we feel about 80-10-10. I'm not trying to put down Douglas Graham for his work that he's done. I really don't have an opinion about it because we're not really interested in that side of things.
Also, we are Eden Fruitarians, so we eat only fruit. Yet 20-10-10 they eat nuts and greens and other stuff, so they're not fully fruitarians. Even some of them call themselves fruitarians because they think because they eat a lot of fruit, which some of them I know they didn't eat so much fruit. So for me, I can't follow that kind of diet because I don't believe is fruitarian diet to start with, and I'm fruitarian, so simple as that. Plus, when we come up here, there was festival in Fruitopia for those 80-10-10 people have like gathering. People come from whole world. I don't know how big it was.
I don't know how many people were there. We arrived after it had finished, so we never really saw who was there.
But we saw a few people arrived back, like Michelle and some guy, I forgot his name. Few people came back. And there was also a book on a table. I never saw the 80-10-10 book. So I started reading it because I was curious. It was there. Said, I wonder what it is about because I didn't know much about this because it never took my interest. As I was reading, I didn't agree with a lot of things, like counting calories, make sure you have this nutrition, this nutrition. Also, the more I read on, and I was skipping because some things I have problem to digest, I was reading, but that's just me. And I realized this is well done book for American people, because in America, a lot of people, they overeating, they have big food problem. Most of the food people eat, it's takeaway, and it's full of fat, full of sugar, full of salt. Everything we should not put in our body is laden with it. And also I notice in American food, they like to mix everything with anything. Things I would never do, like mix capsicum with strawberry, that's example. And this is what in the recipes in that book where the combination of the food and how many ingredients was in one meal. It was for me big surprise, and I thought it's really a bit overboard. It's too much of everything. And I believe stuff like this make people worry. We don't need somebody to give us a recipe. It's okay to look at the recipes, but it's not okay to believe I have to eat exactly what is written in this book. That's how I should eat. That's the recipes I should follow and stuff like this. Best is if you eat something to see how you feel. Also, I notice, because there were a few people who follow this 80-10-10, they overeat. And that's why I'm saying this is book written for Americans, because they get used to overeat and they get used to mix anything and everything together. You know, 1, 2, 3 ingredients is not meal. It has to have a lot of stuff in it. It has to have cheese and salami and this kind of sauce and this kind of sauce and butter, heaps of butter and stuff
That's
like that.
not 80-10-10 though, is it?
No, I'm talking about a typical American diet.
Mm-hmm.
So 80-10-10 diet is made for Americans, I believe, because it's about overeating. So you have to have your calories. That means you have to eat a lot, because fruit and vegetables they promoting have little bit of calories. So I saw people eating this big, huge bowl, like definitely 5-liter big bowl, full of mainly veggies, and they put in vegetable salad, they put mango in it, and sweet fruit and vegetables together, and they make a big full bowl, and they eat it. I could not eat that in a whole day. Like, I know we may have had similar appetites, but still mango doesn't eat much more than me. And people we have here, several people staying with us, eating only fruit, because that's a rule of our house. Nobody ate that much. Nobody, everybody was satisfied about as much we eat, and some people ate even less than we do.
That's true.
And to me, it's unnatural. I believe people stuffing themselves with these big bowls of salads, which I believe are difficult to digest, because it's mixed so many things together. And it's not only fruit and vegetables, then they have seeds and agave syrup and what have you syrup, and the ingredients goes forever. Therefore, I actually disagree, me personally, with that kind of diet. I think it may harm people. Also, the worries if they have enough calories, if they are under-eating or overeating. Let your body tell you if you under-eat or overeat, and not me, Mango, or any other person. You just eat till you feel full. And if you feel full and you keep eating, then you know you're overeating. And you're eating only because, oh, it's so nice. But if you ignore your body, you feel full and you keep eating, even if it's raw food, you're going to pay for it. Maybe not big price, but you're going to pay for it. Me personally, I'm upset that people going wrong way, from my point of view, because they still don't trust themselves and their body intelligence. They still have to put that trust into somebody else and follow exactly how many calories, what they should eat, so they get the true nutrition in their body. And I believe it can affect negatively people's mind with the time, and some of them even drop in and raw food altogether. You know, I come across few people like that already. People say, I eat raw, I feel sick. I would feel sick too. If I eat by 80-10-10, I would definitely not feel well. My digestion would definitely don't work well, I tell you that much. And how your body digests food, that's a great indication how your health.
From my point of view, I've said this, I've repeated this in previous videos. We're very, very simple people. We like to simplify things as much as possible. Now, some people in the past have accused us of calorie restricting, which to us is complete nonsense, because we don't even know what calorie is. And calorie restricting, in my opinion, is is like saying, oh, I'm just going to eat this much because I don't want to eat too much. And that is not something that we've ever done. We eat until we feel full, and we don't eat when we're full, if we don't feel like we need to eat. It's very simple for us. We don't need a pattern. Patterns require learning. Patterns require you possibly to be dependent on somebody else. You need a coach who can help you. And a lot of people make money on this because they think, I'll teach you how to do it, but you've got to pay me for me to teach you, to show you how to eat. And we don't believe that's possible. We give out all our information, what we feel is true, freely. And we don't want anybody to pay us money for what we've learned over the years, because we think that this kind of advice should be given freely. Perhaps advice is the wrong word, because I've said this before in other videos, we don't give out advice. We share our experience, and whatever you think is up to you. You know, you can make your own choice afterwards. It's not depending on what we feel. And there's another thing with 80-10-10, it is a diet. It doesn't really have a philosophy of non-violence behind it, which is where we come from. Our philosophy is non-violence. It's about the golden rule. It's about not wanting to hurt others or minimize the hurt that we cause by being here on this earth as much as possible. Now, if you're at 80-10-10er, there's no part of that philosophy which takes into mind the fact that you're hurting or not hurting something, because you're just following a diet. And as is the case with all diets, if that's why you're doing it because it's a diet, diets are things that people go on temporarily because they want to lose weight, or because it's a good fad, or somebody else is doing it, I think that's cool. But if you're in something purely because it's a diet, because you think it's something that you want to follow for a while, that's exactly the key word, is for a while. And a lot of people will do it for a while, and then they'll get bored because they want to eat cooked food again, or they want to eat something, maybe want to eat animals, whatever it is, because they haven't got that philosophy in their head of trying to empathize with other life forms, which is where we're coming from. We want to empathize.
We didn't think of calories, or if we eating right combinations of food. We ate out of love, like we follow the love in our heart. That's how we choose how we're going to eat. That's the reason. When I start eating that way, I felt so much better. How I could doubt something which makes me feel good when I see everything improved about myself, like, why should I doubt something like that? This is true that action speaks louder than words. So I feel like I won. I'm the winner because I discovered best food for me to eat. If somebody wants to believe it or try it or not, that's everybody's choice. You know, I'm only saying what happened to me really by accident in a way. I didn't even dreamt of such an outcome, what blessings for me it's going to bring when I decide to eat only fruit.
And I want to emphasize once more, because this can't be made more clear, that for us it's not a diet. We became vegan because we knew it was wrong to take a knife to a baby lamb and kill off at Easter. We knew that that was wrong, so we stopped eating animals. That doesn't mean only diet changed. That means also we stopped wearing leather shoes, we stopped wearing belts or anything made of leather, wool. This isn't wool, by the way, if you're thinking it might be, but it's not wool. And anything from animals we stopped. And the Fruitarianism is the same kind of thing, that we realise that from their own perspective, a plant does not want to be harmed. Or if you can place yourself inside that plant and think how you would wish to be treated if you were that plant, you would know that it was wrong to be harming the plant. Now this doesn't mean, and this is something else I have to emphasize, this doesn't mean that we're perfect people, that we don't harm plants. I harm plants every day, but not as much as most people out there, because I do things in a way out of necessity, because I want to live and I want to grow our own fruit trees, and if I don't take out vines that are growing all over the fruit tree, then we're not going to get any fruit. So I do things out of necessity, we do things out of necessity. So we're not perfect, we understand this, we're even conscious of it when we're doing it. We know that what we're doing at some level isn't right, But at the moment, we haven't found a solution to not do it. But this is the thing where people would often go wrong. They would jump on this, they would pounce on it and say, ha, well, you're causing harm, so I can as well. But we're trying to cause less harm. That's what the big difference is. We don't want to do intentional harm just because we can. We want to minimize. And that's the goal of life, I think, is to empathize more with not just your fellow human beings, not just with the animals, but with the earth in general, the environment, just to see things differently in a different light. And once you can really, really grok that, once you can really understand that that is a valid path in life, because that's the essence of spirituality in many ways, to empathize and
Yes.
to understand the golden rule. And once you can do that, then you're not going to fall back. Even if you're dying, you're not going to suddenly think, I need to stab a pig now because I need to have animal flesh in order to be healthy. Even if that thought came in my mind that I needed to have animal flesh to be healthy, I would not kill an animal. I mean, there are certain things that I would in the plant world if that was the only choice I had. But if it comes down to going back and killing an animal who has eyes like myself, who can look at me and make it very, very obvious that they don't want to die, I think there's no way I have the heart to do that. My heart is my heart, and I'm letting my heart grow.
It's also for us easier to kill plant if we have to, because it doesn't show us any resistance, it doesn't scream and fight for life. Yeah, we're not aware of those things, we don't see them, but they exist. It's already scientifically proven.
But anybody that tries to claim that plant life and animal life are equal is just really kidding themselves. They're trying to make excuses for what they're doing in their own life, because everybody knows that you could go out and you could weed all day in the garden and come back in and you would feel okay. You wouldn't really think about it too much afterwards. You may think about it while you're doing it. But if you went out there and you were working on a production line, wringing the necks of chickens all day, you would come in and you would feel it. You would feel how hurt that would make you feel too. So there's a very, very clear difference between plants and animals, but that still doesn't mean that plants aren't there for their own reasons.
They have a life, it's a living thing, you know. We know if we cut the plant, it dies.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
Yeah, I think we've covered it. We've done the 80-10-10.
Yeah.
Calories, calorie restriction, we've answered those questions.
Yeah.
So that's it for us today. God bless you all and take care.
You know, you follow the path of love, and that's the best thing you can do, I believe, for everybody. But of course, it's your choice. What you're going to do with your life, what you're going to follow in your heart. So it would be nice if we all follow love in our heart. The world would be a much better place. So take care until next time. Bye.